All right, guys, welcome to another episode. Today I'm going to be talking about a question that was submitted by a follower. The question is a really good question, and I think it's very applicable to a lot of people, whether you're a dog owner that is a bit of an enthusiast and you're learning how to train dogs, you're learning how to train your dog, or you are a dog owner that is more on the competitive side of training your dog, like maybe for sport work, or if you're a dog trainer, this will be very applicable to you as well. So I'm going to go over the question and I'm going to give you my perspective on the topic, and you'll see it's a good question. But first, I wanted to just bring your attention to something real quick. A person I follow on social media, he also follows me back. I've done an interview with him in the past on a podcast with HPR Working Dogs. I wanted to let you know this guy pretty much decided to stand up for something he strongly believes in, and he decided to go to Ukraine to give aid, and recently, I believe, even literally joined the fight to support the cause that he strongly believes in. Now, whether you like the guy or don't like the guy, whether you fully support the choice that he made, or this could get a little bit political as well. But the one thing that I want you to just think about is he really made a decision and stuck to it, and it's a major decision. He pretty much dropped what he had and believed in something pretty strongly enough to take action, and that's something that is worthy of admiration. So I wanted to give him a shout out. Thank you for supporting your cause. It's amazing that there are people like you that are just action takers, and I wanted to let the audience know as well, he is doing this as a volunteer. So if you feel compelled to donate to his cause, I'm going to put this on the notes, but you can Venmo him at HPR Working Dogs. That's HPR Working Dogs. That's Venmo. Or hprworkingdogs@gmail.com for his PayPal account. So if that's something you're interested in, give him some donations, give him some support, or just send him a message. So I wanted to just bring that up real quick, and now we're going to go into the episode. So the question on the topic is the following. And here it is. Okay, the question is, in your opinion, what makes a great training program? Okay, in your opinion, he's asking me what my opinion is. What makes a great training program? What does it include? Are there aspects of training that apply to every dog no matter what? Are there aspects of training that apply to every dog, no matter what? Okay, so I'm going to give you now my perspective on the topic. And to give you a little bit of background, I have taught at a school for dog trainers. I was the lead instructor for about 7 years, and I ran a curriculum with very talented, very, very good instructors as well. And we ran this curriculum where we would bring people from they've never trained a dog before to, in 12 weeks and even 16 weeks at some point in those 7 years, to where they were able to have green dogs from basic to intermediate, advanced, all the way to off-leash obedience, and for them to understand all those the different ways to do it, the different quadrants, all the different tools. And so I'm pretty without patting myself on the back, I'm pretty versed in the application of tools, the quadrants, learning theory, and I feel competent enough in my ability to answer this question. So I'm going to go over the question again. before I start. So what does it, what makes a great training program? What does it include? Are there aspects of training that apply to every dog no matter what? And here is the answer. Okay. The dog, when they're learning something, okay, there's different phases of learning. Okay, there are different stages of learning. Okay, 4 stages of learning, particularly. There is the sort of the learning phase, right? The acquisition phase. And in the acquisition phase or the learning phase, the dog goes from I don't know what this is to I'm going to be taught what this is. That's the first phase of learning, acquisition, okay, or the learning phase. In this phase, you're doing everything you need to, everything you can, okay, to make the learning process as smooth to the dog as possible. And sometimes that varies from dog to dog. For some dogs, it's going to be some, some positive reinforcement heavily. For some dogs, it's going to be a little bit of negative reinforcement. Okay, and I don't want to get too deep into that conversation either, because the thing with people don't understand what negative reinforcement is. People think negative reinforcement is a punishment, and it's completely the opposite of a punishment. A reinforcement is a consequent stimulus that increases the rate of a behavior. And the difference between positive and negative reinforcement is in positive reinforcement, we're typically adding something pleasant that makes the dog go, I like that. I like that consequence, so I'm going to do more of that. In negative reinforcement, we're still encouraging the dog to do something, but the difference is the word negative is simply a subtraction. It's a mathematical subtraction, which means some sort of pressure is getting removed to increase the rate of a behavior. So for instance, if you push the dog's butt into the down until their butt hits the ground and then you release the pressure, that's negative reinforcement. You physically assisted the dog into that sit. That's negative reinforcement. You didn't slap the dog. You didn't kick the dog. You didn't tell the dog, don't stand or nothing like that. You simply physically encouraged the dog. And the reward of negative reinforcement is the behavior. Okay, and the reason I say why it may vary from dog to dog is because it depends on the dogs that we're training. So if somebody hands you a dog that is fairly young, a dog that is super eager to learn, very, very social, this dog is probably going to be a little bit easier to train with, more on the positive reinforcement side, right? However, one thing that, to kind of answer the question a little bit, here's one thing that every dog needs, okay? This is a big one for me. I strongly believe in this, and I can tell you from having trained thousands of dogs, from having been in this career for over 12 years now, I can tell you, the best thing to do when training any dog, okay, any dog, is to teach them early on the language of pressure. Again, I talk about this in other videos. I talk about this in other episodes. I have a video dedicated to this on my membership on the website, exclusive videos. And the reason why that's important is when you prepare a dog the language of pressure, and when I say that, I don't say, I'm not talking about anything harsh. I'm talking about, just like the example I gave you, putting the dog physically into a sit, right? Teaching them the language of leash pressure. The reason why that's very important is because later on, when pressure is applied, because we're going to at some point demand discipline. Okay, at some point we're going to demand discipline. If you want to complete your training, if you want the dog to be more reliable, you're going to have to demand a sense of discipline. Okay, every animal has to have a sense of discipline to thrive. It's not just all butterflies and rainbows. At some point, you're going to have to let that dog know, hey, no, I'm not asking. You have to do this right now. Okay? And that in itself spurs an entire debate. You needs to be purely positive, and the dog needs to be happy the entire time, and you shouldn't ever have to say no. That doesn't make sense. These are not angels. These are animals that make decisions moment by moment. And with that ability to make decisions, there's going to be poor decisions. There are going to be bad decisions that don't serve you or the animal at all. So we have to give them a sense of discipline. Okay, people too. People without a sense of discipline don't thrive. Okay, the people that thrive, the people that do well, the people that have the most freedoms are the people that have a strong sense of discipline. They understand the carrot and the stick. So even if I have that young dog eager to learn and very, very happy and social, yes, I'm going to use a lot of positive reinforcement, but I'm going to sneak in a little bit of that pressure because later on I'm going to need it to instill the sense of discipline. And the reason is, when you don't do it that way, when you go, oh no, it's a puppy, it's a young dog, just positive, 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 positive. Yeah, let him do whatever he wants. Positive reinforcement, positive reinforcement. And then when that dog is 8 months, a year old, a year and a half, and he decides to mess up, he decides, okay, you cannot avoid a bad decision. Bad decisions are going to happen. That dog is going to flip you off. It's going to happen. And when that dog decides to do that, after being imprinted on everything without any bit of pressure, but suddenly the dog gives you the middle finger. He tells you, no, I don't want to do that. I want to do my own thing. And now you go, oh, no. You have to do it this way. And now you apply pressure. Now the dog goes, whoa, I thought we were cool. I don't understand. And then the dog shuts down, right? The dog gets all stressed out. And then people go, see, that's why I don't use pressure. See, this is why purely positive is the best way. Because see, when you add pressure, the dog shuts down, the dog looks miserable. Well, yeah, of course he will. Because suddenly you go from great, slap. I would be stressed out too. If you spoiled me, as a young kid, or I'm learning something, and you just spoil me, and then one day you're like, you have to do it this way, slap. I'm going to be stressed out too. But if early on you introduce the language of pressure, okay, and what I mean by that is, do some leash, teach the dog the language of leash pressure. You don't have to correct him, just teach him to follow the lead. Teach him to go into positions with a little bit of pressure, a little bit of, pressure downwards with your hand and some leash pressure. Let the dog understand that. If you're doing e-collar training, that in itself is a whole nother topic too, right? And then you have like big name trainers going, no, low-level e-collar training is not good. And then you have other dog trainers that go, oh yeah, low-level e-collar training is the best, right? Look, I don't care how you feel about this, but the concept is still the same. Okay, introducing the language of pressure early on, okay, with mild to moderate levels, ensures the dog is able to accept, without losing attitude, pressure later on when discipline is demanded of the dog. So in the acquisition phase, in the first phase of learning, okay, in my opinion, and this opinion comes from experience, okay, not theory, not hypothesis. This is coming from the lab, okay? They do much better when you introduce the language of pressure, because I've done it the other way, okay? I've done it the other way. I've seen what happens, and I've had countless students that have tried to delay pressure for as far as they could. I remember this. Students that were like, I don't want to use pressure. I don't want, and they were so hesitant, right? And then suddenly they were like, okay, dude, I need discipline. Boom, they would just drop the hammer, and the dog would be like, oh, I don't understand this. And then you have some strong dogs that go, fuck you. You're going to put pressure on me. I'm going to put pressure back on you. And then that reinforces that flawed belief that, see, pressure it creates aggression. It creates, no, it didn't create it. You just didn't introduce it. And then suddenly you slap it on the dog, and now the dog goes, fuck you, or the dog goes, oh my God, this sucks. So in the acquisition phase, I want to introduce that early on. Now, why I said it varies from dog to dog. Sometimes the dog that you get, if you're a dog trainer, is not the young social dog that is very cooperative. Some dogs, a lot of dogs that come to me, a lot of clients that come to me, sometimes they come to me when they're like on their last bit of hope. They're like, yeah, I've been told to put this dog down by this people that mean well. Okay, I'm not gonna say I saved the dog, nothing like that. But people that meant well, that this dog is too much for them. And I mean, I've had clients that just come to us just like crying. They're like, I don't know what to do, right? And those dogs, the acquisition phase, the learning phase, has to be a little bit on the pressure side, where we have to let the dog know, hey, we're going to teach you something. We're going to teach you some concepts. But, right now we have to start with some pressure, right? We have to start with, we have to kind of start speeding up the bit of the concept of discipline a little bit more. So sometimes we have to introduce the behavior with a little bit of pressure from the get-go. And then we kind of go back to, okay, no, now look, this is also enjoyable. So it varies from dog to dog. So the acquisition phase, the learning phase, it always varies. But as the question asked, right, as the follower asked, there's some concepts that are applicable to all dogs. And in my opinion, it is the concept of pressure should be introduced early. Okay, so I want to go to the next phase of learning. So acquisition is the first phase of learning. The next phase of learning is automatic, right? This is sort of the proficiency phase, where the dog is now stacking on the repetitions. The dog is now starting to get this on cue, right? So that's the second phase of learning. The dog is now a little bit past the learning phase, where we've shown it, right, whether with pressure or with positive reinforcement or a combination of both, which is even better. And now you're stacking up your repetitions. You're in the hundreds of repetitions, and now the dog's starting to go, okay, I think I'm getting this. I think I get it. Yeah, I'm getting it. Now that's the automatic phase, where this is what we call the 4 A's of learning. Right? Acquisition, automatic, application, always. I'm going to go over those here in a moment. So automatic is the dog is now becoming proficient, fluid in the behavior that you're learning. The dog is starting to understand on-verbal cue. Sit means put your butt on the ground, right? Down means put your belly on the ground. Whatever behavior that you're teaching, or whatever list of behaviors you're teaching, when they're on the second phase of learning, automatic, now they're starting to become proficient. And the 4 stages of learning, that's another thing that applies to every dog. That's another thing that applies to every dog, right? Whether you mean to do it that way or not, that's how it's done. If the dog is learning properly, that's how it's done, right? The third phase of learning is application or generalization. The application phase is when you apply the behaviors that they are learning. You apply it in different contexts. That's what we call generalization. It's when you generalize the down or the sit that you taught the dog in different environments with different distractions. Where sometimes the dog shows a lot of proficiency in your living room, in your training building, in your corner, right, wherever you train. The dog is doing amazing. And then people go, my dog is learning, he's doing amazing. He's doing this nice off-leash heel because he's doing it in your training building. Then you take the dog outside, you tell him heel, and poof, they take off, right? Or you tell them sit, and they act like, I don't know what that is. What are you talking about? And then the owner, the trainer gets frustrated, and they go, you know this, right? Like, you did this perfectly earlier. They did it perfectly earlier in the training lab. They didn't do it perfectly in another environment or with different set of distractions. This is when the application phase or the generalization phase kicks in. This is where you now have to practice these behaviors that you taught the dog in different contexts, different environments. Okay, that's generalization. The next phase of learning is always, right? Or maintenance. This is the maintenance phase. This is once the dog has been taught the behavior. That's the first phase. The second phase, it becomes automatic. The dog learns it. Like, okay, I get it. I completely understand. I'm past the learning phase. The third phase is now you generalize, you apply it in different contexts. And then the fourth phase, or the fourth A of learning, is maintenance, or always. With this, you basically, you don't lose it. You make sure that you keep practicing it. Even if it's every once in a while, that you reinforce it, that you let the dog know it still applies, okay? Because all skills are perishable. They really are. I'll give you an example. My dog, Jax, he's 14 years old. We've had him for a very long time, and he definitely went through all the 4 stages of learning. And right now, he's on the maintenance, right? On the always stage of learning, which means he's already learned the behaviors that I taught him. He's shown fluency. I've generalized the crap out of just about every behavior he knew. And now there are a list of behaviors that are important to me that I want to make sure the dog is still aware of. You know, like I don't do some of the tricks that he used to do because he's 14 years old. But every once in a while I'll do it and he remembers, right? But some of like the other behaviors like place, you know, down, sit, heel, recall, those are behaviors that even at his old age, where he's pretty much retired, he's just enjoying the good life, spending time, taking long naps on the back porch, going for walks on our 5-acre property. You know, he doesn't need to do all of those things like he had to do when he was younger. But every once in a while, you know, he has to heel. He has to recall. He has to go to place. And he knows all these things, so we maintain it. If I went like an entire year or entire 2 years without really practicing any of those, it would be very, very rusty, as I'm sure you would know. You would imagine. But those are the 4 stages of learning. If you understand those stages and you are able to apply it in your training, and you remember to introduce the language of pressure early on, trust me, it applies to every dog you train. As a matter of fact, every animal that learns something. This applies to you as well. Okay, everything applies to you. You're gonna learn some things. If you're going into business, you're going to learn some skills, right? You're going to become proficient in those skills. That's the second phase of learning. And then you're going to learn to maneuver around certain obstacles with the skill that you know. You're going to have to then apply what you learn in different contexts, different levels of pressure, different amounts of stress. And you'll be able to learn to do the same behaviors under the pressures and the stress of running a business. And then maintenance, obviously, this is when, you know, you already know how to do X, Y, and Z, and now you occasionally touch it up because it's something that you want to maintain, if that's the case. And then the language of pressure is always there, right? The sense of discipline should always be there. Because if there is no discipline, suddenly, boom, you get your ass kicked, you get your ass handed to you business-wise. Now you are under a severe amount of stress because you didn't implement the sense of discipline early on, or the language of discipline, the language of pressure early on. So it's all applicable to every animal that has the ability to learn. That's the episode. If you guys have any questions like this, sometimes people ask me very specific questions, and I can't make an episode about every little thing. But some questions like this are good questions, and I like to share that information with you guys. Also, just real quick, check out the Facebook page. Facebook page, Dog Training is My Passion, is amazing because the most amount of haters show up there. I mean, I have I believe 13,000 likes on that page, 15,000 followers, versus the Instagram page where I have a little less than 10,000 on there still. But the Facebook page, some of these posts that I put just trigger the right amount of people, and the comments are very, very, they're very amusing. Okay, the haters are amazing. They boost my page all across all the platforms organically. Okay, it's amazing. Like when I put a regular video or even a meme, a funny video or a video of a dog running, I'll get like a few thousand, sometimes 10,000 people reached. But if I have a video of the same dog, but maybe you'll see like the handler has an e-collar on their hand, which is the latest post right now that went a little bit viral. Or there is a really happy dog, and somebody noticed that dog, super happy dog, has a prong collar on his neck. Suddenly these people lose their minds, and the moment they start commenting, I just get this smile on my face, because I know when I see that first comment, they're going to organically boost my post and my page. The latest page in 2 days went from not much attention. I got the first negative comment, like bad comment, right? Like, oh my God, it's a shock collar. And it went to over 100,000 people. It reached over 100,000 people in 2 days. The likes went up, the messages went up, the engagement went up like crazy. And Facebook, of course, loves that, right? And it's just, I encourage it. I even reply to them and I'll go, what do you mean? Because I want more responses. And then the shares start going up, the views start going up, the engagement goes up. I get so much reach from one of these comments than when I do a paid advertisement. And it's amazing. I love it. I've learned to love the haters, and they do so much for my business. They do so much for the brand. It's fascinating. I mean that sincerely. I even have, like, occasionally I have people that talk, people that know me, and some people that don't even know me talk shit about me. Same thing, like the friend requests go up. Certain episodes on the podcast just go up. And you're going to see that action on Facebook. So if you are primarily on Instagram, if you don't really visit either, look at some of the posts. And it's fascinating. It's really, really fascinating. And just have fun with the comment. It's hilarious to read them. You don't have to reply. I'm not asking you for any bit of help or nothing at all. Like, I love that these people get so triggered. It's pretty amusing. But anyway, I'm going to see you guys in the next episode. And all right, see you guys later. Bye.